time is with you. Invest a little bit and a little bit and a little bit.
Stock market में खरीदो फरोख्त जायज़ है.
Investment market normally is very efficient. सलमान की ज़िंदगी में इन्वेस्टमेंट का बहुत ज़बरदस्त एहतमाम किया गया है.
And for the corporation, they will help you in that, identifying which companies are there which are Sharia compliant.
Whatever it has grown in the last so many years will double in the next 2 years.
प्रोग्राम शुरू करने से पहले बताना चाहूँगा कि आखिर हम लोग ये क्यों कर रहे हैं. ये इस्लामिक इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ कॉन्फ्रेंस जो कर रहे हैं, तो क्या मकसद है. मेरा 20 साल का तजुर्बा है स्टॉक मार्केट से. मेरा ताल्लुक़ 1988 से 88 से मेरा ताल्लुक़ है स्टॉक मार्केट में. हमेशा देखा सालों से कि मुसलमानों का आम तौर से पूरे मुल्क में स्टॉक मार्केट में पार्टिसिपेशन बिल्कुल नहीं है. अव्वल तो इस मुल्क के अंदर अभी भी 3% से कम लोग स्टॉक मार्केट में हैं. यानी जो अभी इस वक्त हमें इंडेक्स जो नज़र आता है 14,500 या निफ्टी 4,500 को जो क्रॉस कर चुका है, ये तब है जबकि अभी इस वक्त 1 करोड़ से ज़्यादा डीमैट अकाउंट नहीं है. तो वैसे ही पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत कम है और उसमें मुसलमानों का आम तौर पर बिल्कुल पार्टिसिपेशन नहीं है. ना इन्वेस्टर की हैसियत से, ना जो कंपनीज लिस्टेड हैं. यानी बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में इस वक्त 5,000 से ज़्यादा कंपनी लिस्टेड हैं जिनकी ख़रीदो फ़रोख्त रोज़ाना होती है. उसमें आप उंगलियों पर गिन सकते हैं इतनी मुसलमान ओन्ड मालिकी की कंपनियां हैं. वो बहुत कम हैं. जितने प्लेयर्स हैं, स्टॉक ब्रोकर्स हैं, पूरे हिंदुस्तान में बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के 500 से ज़्यादा मेंबर हैं. एनएसी के 500 से ज़्यादा हैं. कुल 1000 मेंबरों के मुकाबले में अगर मुसलमानों का 15% पॉपुलेशन अगर लें आप इस मुल्क में, तो कम से कम 150 ब्रोकर होने चाहिए. लेकिन उसकी जगह पर सिर्फ 3 हैं. तो ये जब हमने देखा तो हमें लगा कि हमारी कौम जो है वो इस फील्ड से बिल्कुल नाशना है. यानी पता ही नहीं है. आम तौर से लोग बेचारे अखबारों में रोज़ाना सुर्खियाँ देखते हैं कि आज इंडेक्स 14,000 हो गया, आज 13,000 क्रॉस कर गया और आज FII का इतना इन्वेस्टमेंट आया. तो आम तौर से मुसलमान ये समझते हैं कि साहब इसका हमसे कोई ताल्लुक़ नहीं है, ये कोई पता नहीं किस चिड़िया का नाम है, ये कोई सट्टाबाजी है या ये क्या है, इसका ताल्लुक़ हमारे साथ नहीं है. तो उसके बाद हमने सोचा कि हमें इस किस्म के सेमिनार करने चाहिए कि जहाँ पर हम एक्सपर्ट्स को बुलाएं. और हम ये नहीं कहते कि साहब हम जो कह रहे हैं ये लफ्ज़ आखिर है. हो सकता है कि इसमें बहुत कुछ और गुंजाइशें हों, कुछ हो सकता है कि हमारी गलतियां हों, उसको कोई लोग उस पर नुक्ताचीनी करें. हम चाहते हैं कि अगर हमारी कोई गलती है बताएं, या कम से कम ये बात जो है चर्चे में आए. यानी हमारी दरमियान के अंदर जो हम लोगों की जो गुफ्तगू होती है उसमें ये बात चर्चे में आए. स्टॉक मार्केट या इन्वेस्टमेंट जो है, हालांकि ये एक बहुत अहम चीज़ है हमारे लिए. मुसलमान की ज़िंदगी में इन्वेस्टमेंट का बहुत ज़बरदस्त एहतमाम किया गया है. कुरान पाक में, शरीयत में इस पर बड़ा ज़ोर दिया गया है कि मुसलमान हर वक्त जो है अपने पैसे को कहीं ना कहीं लगाए. इन्वेस्टमेंट जो है ये हमारे रोज़मर्रा की ज़िंदगी में आए और इसका डिस्कशन हो. तो इस वजह से हमने अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अहमदाबाद में सबसे पहले की, बम्बई में की, हमने औरंगाबाद में की और बड़े अच्छे नतीजे आए. मसलन मैं आपको बम्बई का एक छोटा सा किस्सा बताऊं कि हमने बम्बई में जब किया, उर्दू अखबारों ने इसको खूब लिखा. एक खातून का हमारी ऑफिस में फ़ोन आया. बेचारी ने कहीं से ढूंढ कर हमारा नंबर लिया. उसका फ़ोन आया कि मैं एक बहुत गरीब औरत हूँ, मेरे पास 1,000 रुपये 1,200 रुपये हैं, मैं क्या इतना इन्वेस्ट कर सकती हूँ. तो हमने उसको ऑफिस में बुलाया. हमारी ऑफिस में हमने कुछ खातून भी रखी हैं कि जो औरतें आएँ तो उनको उसमें मदद करें, फॉर्म भरने में वगैरह में. खैर हमने उसको एक कंपनी के शेयर दिलाए. एक शेयर, एक रिलायंस कंपनी है जिसका उस वक्त 1,300 रुपये था. हमने कहा बहन आप 300 रुपये बढ़ा दें. तो उसने 300 रुपये बढ़ा दिए. हमने उसको रिलायंस का एक शेयर दिलाया. तो लोगों ने कहा कि साहब आपने रिलायंस का शेयर दिलाया. मैंने कहा ये जो है इससे बढ़कर एम्पावरमेंट कोई और नहीं हो सकता. इसलिए कि एक फुटपाथ पे रहने वाली एक खातून जो गरीब है, दुकान है उसकी सड़क पर, और मुश्किल से 1000-1500 रुपये बचाती है महीने में। तो हमने उसको जब एक रिलायंस का शेयर दिलाया, हमने लोगों से यूं कहा कि देखिए ये एक शेयर जो है, इससे एक ओनरशिप आती है, उसको एक मालिकी बनती है, और इससे वो ताकत पैदा होती है कि एनुअल जनरल मीटिंग जब होगी कंपनी की, तो उसे उसका दावतनामा मिलेगा, वो जा सकती है एनुअल जनरल मीटिंग के अंदर, और कल को वो उस कंपनी के चेयरमैन का गरेबान पकड़ सकती है। यानी एक शेयर की ओनरशिप जो है ये एम्पावरमेंट दिला सकती है। तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमने देखा कि इसके नताइज बहुत अच्छे हुए, और हमारा असल टारगेट जो है कि देखिए, एक तो हमारे मुसलमानों में हाई नेटवर्थ या बहुत ही अपर क्लास जो लोग हैं, उनको तो वो तो सर्विस हो जाते हैं, लेकिन जो मिडिल क्लास है, लोअर मिडिल क्लास तबका है, या उससे भी जो नीचे तबका है, उन तक अभी तक हमारी निगाह नहीं गई है। लेकिन स्टॉक मार्केट एक ऐसा इन्वेस्टमेंट का एसेट क्लास है कि जहां पर आदमी 1000 रुपए से लेकर बड़ी कीमत, बड़े की कोई कीमत नहीं है, वहां तक हम उसमें जा सकते हैं। तो इसलिए ये हमने एक कॉन्फ्रेंस सोची, और आपके श्रीनगर में आज हम लोग आए हैं, और इंशाल्लाह हम कुरान पाक की तिलावत से इसका आगाज़ करते हैं। मैं हाफिज़ अब्दुल जलील साहब से दरख्वास्त करूंगा कि वो आएँ और कुरान पाक की तिलावत करें।
अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनुत्तक़ुल्लाहा वल तंज़ुर नफ्सुम मा क़द्दमत लिग़द वत्तक़ुल्लाह इन्नल्लाह खबीरुम बिमा तअमलून। वला तकूनू कल्लज़ीन नसुल्लाह फअंसाहुम अंफुसहुम उलाइका हुमुल फासिकून। ला यस्तवी अस्हाबुन नारि व अस्हाबुल जन्नह, अस्हाबुल जन्नति हुमुल फाइज़ून। लौ अंज़लना हाज़ल क़ुरआन अला जबलिन लरअयतहु ख़ाशिअन मुतसद्दिअन मिन ख़श्यतिल्लाह वतिल्कल अम्सालु नज़रिबुहा लिन्नासि लअल्लहुम यतफ़क्करून। वल्लाहुल्लज़ी ला इलाहा इल्ला हु आलिमुल गैबि वश्शहादति हुवर रहमानुर रहीम। हुवल्लाहुल्लज़ी ला इलाहा इल्ला हु अल मलिकुल कुद्दूसुस सलामुल मुमिनुल मुहैमिनुल अज़ीज़ुल जब्बार, अल अज़ीज़ुल जब्बारुल मुतकब्बिर। सुब्हानल्लाहि अम्मा युश्रिकून। हुवल्लाहुल खालिकुल बारिउल मुसव्विरु लहुल अस्माउल हुस्ना युसब्बिहु लहु मा फिस समावाति वल अर्द वहुवल अज़ीज़ुल हकीम। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम।
हाफिज़ साहब जज़ाकल्लाह। अब मैं हमारे जो मेहमान जो आए हैं, माशाल्लाह दूर दराज से आए हैं, और आपके कश्मीर से भी लोगों ने यानी हमारी इस दावत को कबूल किया, तो मैं चाहूँगा कि छोटा सा हम एजाज़ उनका करें। इम्तियाज़ साहब जो हैं, मिस्टर ऊतो बादर साहब का फूलों के गुलदस्ते से استقبال کریں. عاشق صاحب ڈاکٹر حاتم الشنفری جو عمان مسقط سے آئے ہیں, ان کا استقبال کریں. میں ساجد صاحب سے درخواست کروں گا کہ ہمارے پروفیسر عبد الوحید صاحب جو آپ کشمیر یونیورسٹی کے وائس چانسلر ہیں, اعجاز صاحب سے میں درخواست کروں گا کہ وہ پروفیسر محی الدین صاحب کا, اور منظور پختہ صاحب وہ آنند ٹنڈن صاحب کا اعزاز کریں. اور ڈاکٹر الطاف بک مفتی عبد القیوم صاحب کا اعزاز کریں. اب ہمارے ایک جو مہمان ہیں مہیش بھٹ صاحب, وہ کسی وجہ سے نہیں پہنچ سکے آج, لیکن انہوں نے بڑی عنایت فرمائی کہ اس کانفرنس کے لیے انہوں نے میسیج ٹیپ کر کے بھیجا ہے. میں درخواست کروں گا اجے کنچن صاحب سے کہ وہ مہیش بھٹ صاحب کا میسیج سنا دیں.
موجود نہیں ہوں. اپنی غیر موجودگی کے لیے میں آپ سبھی کے ساتھ اپنے دوست ظفر سریش والا سے معافی چاہتا ہوں, اور امید کرتا ہوں کہ آپ میری مجبوری کو ضرور سمجھیں گے. کہتے ہیں ہمت مرداں مدد خدا. ظفر اور ان کے دونوں بھائیوں اویش اور طلحہ سے میں اتنا ہی کہنا چاہتا ہوں کہ ہمت والے انسان کے ساتھ تو خدا بھی ہر وقت موجود ہوتا ہے. میں تو اس کا ایک چھوٹا سا بندہ ہی ہوں. ظفر بھائی, جشن آپ کا ہو اور میں شریک نہ ہوں, ایسا تو ہو ہی نہیں سکتا. بے شک آج آپ لوگ مجھے اپنے درمیان نہیں دیکھ پائیں, لیکن میرا یقین کیجئے کہ جس طرح گزشتہ کئی سالوں سے میں آپ کے ساتھ قدم سے قدم ملا کر چلتا رہا ہوں, انشاءاللہ آئندہ بھی ہمارا ساتھ یوں ہی بنا رہے گا. بھائی ظفر, اویس اور طلحہ صرف میرے دوست ہی نہیں ہیں, بلکہ ان کی میں کافی عزت بھی کرتا ہوں, کیونکہ یہ تینوں مسلم قوم کے کچھ ایسے گنے چنے لوگوں میں ہیں جنہوں نے تمام مشکلوں کے باوجود نہ صرف اپنا ایک الگ مقام بنایا ہے, بلکہ قوم کی خدمت کو ہمیشہ اپنا سب سے بڑا فرض سمجھا. آج کی یہ کانفرنس ان کی قوم کی خدمت کا ہی ایک حصہ ہے, یہ بات میں اچھی طرح جانتا ہوں. اپنے کشمیری دوستوں سے میں یہ عرض کرنا چاہتا ہوں کہ فائنانس کے بارے میں میری اپنی سمجھ اتنی ہی ہے جتنی کہ آپ سبھی کی راکٹ سائنس کے بارے میں. آج کی اس کانفرنس کے بارے میں بس اتنا ہی جانتا ہوں کہ اس کا صرف ایک ہی مقصد ہے, اور وہ یہ کہ اکانومی میں ہو رہی ترقی میں کس طرح مسلمانوں کو برابر کا ساجھیدار بنایا جا سکتا ہے, حلال کاروبار اور حلال انویسٹمنٹ کے ذریعے کس طرح ان کی مالی حالت کو سدھارا جا سکتا ہے. میں امید کرتا ہوں کہ آج کی یہ کانفرنس بہت ہی کامیاب ثابت ہو, اور آئندہ جب کبھی دوبارہ سے منعقد کیا جائے گا تو وادی کشمیر میں مجھے بھی آپ کے بیچ موجود ہونے کا موقع ضرور ملے گا. شکریہ. خدا حافظ.
ایک اور بات میں مہیش بھٹ صاحب کے بارے میں خاص کہنا چاہتا ہوں کہ جس وقت گجرات میں جو فساد ہوئے تھے 2002 میں, آپ لوگوں نے اخباروں میں یا ٹیلی ویژن میں جو دیکھا ہوگا کہ جو حال تھا اس وقت, خاص طور سے جو شروع کے 3-4 جو دن تھے, اس وقت یہ حال تھا کہ کسی کی ہمت نہیں تھی کہ احمد آباد میں باہر نکل سکے. کوئی مسلم لیڈر, ملک کا کوئی سیاسی لیڈر, کوئی پہنچ نہیں سکا تھا. یعنی وہ حال تھا, اتنا دہشت کا ایک ماحول تھا کہ کسی کی ہمت نہیں تھی. اس وقت سب سے پہلے جو احمد آباد پہنچے دوسرے دن وہ مہیش بھٹ صاحب تھے. یعنی اور حکومت نے جو کوشش کی کہ وہ نہ آئے, لیکن اس کے باوجود وہ آئے, اور برابر صرف ہم لوگوں کا نہیں بلکہ جو جتنے تکلیف میں تھے سب کا ہاتھ پکڑا. اور ایک مورل, اس لیے کہ اس وقت مسلمان کا جو سب سے بڑا جو نقصان ہو گیا تھا خاص طور سے احمد آباد میں, وہ مورل کا فقدان ہو گیا تھا، یعنی مورلی مسلمان بالکل ختم ہو چکا تھا. وہ یہ سمجھ رہا تھا کہ اب بالکل اب کچھ نہیں ہے. اس وقت مہیش بھٹ صاحب اور ہمارے راج ببر صاحب، یہ دو فلم کی ہستی ہیں، لیکن ایک بڑا پیراڈاکس ہے کہ یہ لوگ پہنچے وہاں پر سب سے پہلے، اور انہوں نے ہمت دلائی، اور خاص طور سے ہم لوگوں کو انہوں نے بڑی ہمت دلائی اور ہم کو آگے لے کر چلے، اور ہم لوگ آج الحمدللہ یہ راستے پر پہنچے، اور تب سے وہ اب تک ہمارے ساتھ رہے ایک چٹان کی طرح. تو اس لیے وہ ماشاءاللہ ہمارے ہر پروگرام میں ساتھ میں ہوتے ہیں. میں پروگرام کا آغاز کروں گا، اور میں دعوت دیتا ہوں ہمارے پروفیسر عبد الوحید صاحب جو کشمیر یونیورسٹی کے وائس چانسلر ہیں.
It is my pleasure, and I also consider it my privilege to extend very warm and heartfelt welcome to all of you, the distinguished members of the panel who will be hopefully addressing us, and the distinguished members of the audience, particularly our guests from outside the state. I must say that it is extremely commendable that the organizers of today's conference, the Parsoli Corporation Limited, have organized today's interactive session to generate much needed awareness on a theme of immediate relevance and concern to all of us, particularly the potential Muslim investors. Islam disallows earning any interest on one's money. It prohibits investments which promise guaranteed fixed returns, and that is the usual mode and practice of conventional banking that we have. In such of the Muslims as are conscious of this limitation find themselves in a difficult situation. To them, the acceptable options of investment are investment in real estate or Islamic banking. It is indeed a great opportunity for all of us to learn and seek clarifications from the distinguished experts on this subject. As a potential investor and as a senior citizen of Kashmir, I welcome the gesture of the organizers, particularly the Parsoli Corporation Limited. I wish this conference all success. ایک دو باتیں اور عرض کرنا چاہوں گا. پہلی بات جس کی کشمیر میں ضرورت ہے وہ ہے سود کی جائز ہونا یا ناجائز ہونا، اور میں چاہوں گا کہ کوئی صاحب اس بات پر ضرور اپنا نقطۂ نظر یہاں لائیں. مولانا انظر شاہ صاحب سے میری ایک ملاقات ہوئی، اور مولانا انظر شاہ کشمیری، ان سے میں نے یہی ایک سوال کیا کہ ہمیں ایک بڑی مشکل میں ہیں، بتائیے ہم ملازم لوگ ہیں، ہمارے پیسے بینک میں رہتے ہیں، سود آتا ہے، سیونگ ریٹ پر آتا ہے یا فکس آتا ہے، تو اس کا کیا کیا جائے. مولانا نے سوچ کے یہ کہا تھا کہ ہر صورت میں اس سے پرہیز کیجیے، اور مجبوری کے عالم میں آپ رکھیں، لیکن جو سود آئے وہ کسی کو دے دیجیے جو آپ مناسب سمجھیں، لیکن ثواب کی توقع نہ رکھیے. یہ بنیادی بات ہے، یہ بنیادی بات ہے. ہم لوگ اسٹاک مارکیٹ کی طرف تب متوجہ ہو جائیں گے جن کے پاس جو بھی گنجائش ہے زیادہ کم، جب اصل بات سے ہم پورے واقف ہوں. لیکن دھوکے میں چلتا ہے، لیتے ہیں چلتا ہے، لیکن یہ اگر ایمان کی بات ہے تو وہ چیز بالکل واضح ہونی چاہیے. بہت شکریہ.
I will now request Dr. Hatim.
It is my great pleasure to stand before you here today to join Parsoli in terms of educating the public about investment and how to go about it safely. I'll present to you brief information on some principles that are important for investors to keep in mind as they go forward in their investment activities and investment experience. We at Gulf Investment Services Company are very proud to be associated with Parsoli, and we are working together with Badr Investment Bank to add value to Parsoli in its operation in India and to service the Muslim community in the best possible way. This is just a general statement that I want to make to start with. And now I'll start with the presentation regarding the stages where investors are normally likely to behave. In their early stages, when they are around 25 years old, they are likely to have a stage of accumulation in which they have long-term objective and short-term objective. In their long-term objective, they are always looking about retirement, how to provide decent funds at their retirement to maintain their living standard. And they're looking about their children's education and their need in terms of financial benefit and financial commitment. In the short term, those who are about to graduate or have graduated recently from universities are looking for providing houses and providing cars or means of transportation for their own living standard in order to enhance it and to improve it. In the next stage, it is a place or the stage of accumulation in which, again, one of the objectives is to go for the retirement as an objective in terms of investment. And people are started to consider living in a luxury life or in a comfortable life in terms of thinking about vacation and thinking about children education in which the expenses would normally occur. This is around the middle age normally. This is a phenomena that goes with all the investors in the global market. So this is not very specific to India or to Arabia or to the West. It's mainly a phenomenon that has been studied by scholars and found out this is more or less a normal behavior that investors go through. In the last stage, it's a stage in which investors hope that they have accumulated enough wealth in order to sustain their life and their quality of life standard in their retirement. So this is what we call the spending period of their life in which they have invested wisely and they are now reaping the benefit of their long investment and commitment to funds. Here is a chart that shows if you need to accumulate $1 million and you save when you are very young around $380 per month, you're likely to reach by the age 65 $1 million in terms of saving, and that will translate to investment. As you grow older, you need to invest more in order to reach that goal. The message here is that if you save when you are very young, you can afford saving with some money that you can have, and that money will grow over time in a very productive mean if you are investing it wisely, and that again will be able to reach to the target that you are thinking about in terms of your investment plan and investment objective. Normally, the financial markets are places in which firms normally seek to raise capital through issuing stocks or bonds. For our case as a Muslims, sukuk became very normal and very popular now among Muslim community and even non-Muslim institutions. Those papers that will be translated to or transferred to investors will be exchanged for money that comes to the company. The company will use that money to grow or to establish its operation if it's a new operation. And this is the activity we refer to it as the primary market. So these are the primary market activities in which firms raise funds through issuing sukuk or bonds and through issuing stocks in order to structure their capital and to operate in order to achieve their objective. For investors, we look at their activities in the secondary market where stocks and bonds are traded, in which the ownership from one investor to the next is transferred. And this is what we refer to it as secondary market activities. There are many choices that investors have. We can divide them to major categories, 4 of them. One of them are different type of stocks. Then we talk about different type of bonds or fixed income securities, and cash and cash equivalent securities, and real assets in which we can look at real estate, commodities, and gold as an example of these real assets. In the stocks, we can further divide it down between large company stocks and small company stocks, local and international, and all those are available normally for investors who are seeking diversity in their investment. Here is an overview as of the end of 2005, how the stock markets are shaped in the world. We see that the United States still control the majority of the value of the stocks in the world. That makes about 29 or 49%. Then the international one divided between Europe, Japan, United Kingdom, Canada, and other countries are making the other half of the global stock market value that are traded in the world. This is the performance from 1926 to 2005 of different type of investment, looking at stocks, bonds, short-term money market securities, and referring that to inflation. And we noticed that stocks have done much better. If you have started in 2019-26 with $1 investment, it has grown all the way to 13,706 over this whole period of time that we have seen. These are the small stocks that tend to perform better but have more risk, which I will talk about it later. For large companies, they tend to perform much more steadily. They have less risk. Therefore, the return is expected to be lower. And for fixed income securities, especially government bonds, we see that the performance are a little bit lower. And then there is the money market securities, normally the treasury bills that the government issues or commercial papers, but specifically referring to government bills as an indication of money market securities. Here we find that they are normally performing better than inflation, and inflation is considered as one source of risk for investors. When you are investing, you must keep in mind the trade-off between the return that you are seeking and the risk. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail. Here is different type of investment that we can see. Stocks in the US versus commodities and international stocks, as well as real estates and gold. Over the period from 1986 to 2005, we see the different performance of those different asset classes that investors normally look at as a mean of diversifying their investment and reducing the risk. As I said before, when you are investing, you always must keep in mind the trade-off between risk and return. You cannot only say that I wanted to get the maximum return, but forgetting about the risk that you are likely to be exposed to. Here we generally say in theory that investors, if they are not willing to take more risk, then they should be able to accept a lower return. But if the risk is likely to be high, investors will only invest if the return is correspondingly high. So this is the general theory that we talk about, the trade-off between risk and return. Here is an example of the type of risks that investors are likely to face. One of which is inflation risk. And there are many. This is just a sample list of things that are likely to go in terms of risk for investors. So there is inflation risk, there is credit risk, there is market risk. When the market is falling, all the stocks, whether they are very good stocks or they are not very good, are likely to underperform if the market is not doing well. And then there is liquidity. When investors are investing in a market, especially when the market is falling, the liquidity is not likely to be there, in which investors are likely to buy and sell securities without losing much of the value of those securities. So that's a real risk normally for small markets or in a falling market. Obviously, if you are investing overseas, currency risk and political risk are normally an issue there. Here is a trend that we have seen lately, or we have seen over time, and I'll show you an example of actual data, shows that when you are investing in less risky assets, like government treasury bills, you're likely to be exposed to less risk, but the return is very low. In the same time, the return is always performing or higher than inflation, which is the mean of measuring whether your real return is positive or negative. And investors are normally seeking to have positive return to be able to have a return higher than inflation so that they can preserve their purchasing power. And if you are investing in little more riskier, but relatively, again, not as risky as the stocks, like government bonds, you are likely to be facing a little more risk, and the return is likely to be higher. If you go to the stocks, obviously, large company stocks are less riskier, but the return is lower. And finally, you see the small stock company that tend to perform very well over a long period of time, but the risk is very, very high. The threat of inflation that eats up the purchasing power, we can notice that in the stock generally, while the nominal return, the normal return that you can see is about 10.4%, if you adjust for inflation between 1926 to 2005, you will notice that the significant drop in the real return of the stocks going down from 10.4 to 7.1. All that is the inflation factor, how much inflation eats up the real money of investors. In terms of bonds, again, the return is quite lower, but then the adjustment after risk becomes even less than half of the bond return over a long period of time. And obviously, if you keep the cash and if you are investing in short-term government securities like treasury bills, your return again is lower. And that again exceeds the inflation. Otherwise, there is no incentive for investors to put their money in the money market securities. Here is a graph for the same period of time, looking at stocks, bonds, and treasury bills for a longer period between 1926 and 2005. We notice again, this is an actual data, looking at the theory and looking at the data now, seeing that the treasury bills and the bonds are less performing in terms of return, but the risk profile is lower. And we see at the end, the right corner there up is the small stocks that tend to do well. But again, the risk is always going to be there, and there are all different types of risk that small companies are likely to face. In terms of numbers, we always like to see how the risk and return are traded. What is the return versus the risk? And here we have two types of return, the compounded annual rates for the different criteria of investment assets, along with inflation. And the charts on the right-hand side shows you how volatile or how unstable these returns are. The bigger the instability, the bigger the risk, and therefore the higher the required return that investors normally seek. As an investor, normally if you invest in one company, you are likely to be exposed to two types of risk. Risk that you cannot do much about it, which we call market risk or undiversifiable risk. That is in the lower part, and the risk that you can control it by having more investment in your portfolio. So if you are investing only in one company, your risk exposure is very high. But if you are diversifying by investing more and more, as the number of companies grow in your portfolio, the risk exposure that is subject to one single company will become much less over time, up to the stage when you are reaching a portfolio more than 100 companies. The risk is substantially concentrating only in the market risk that you cannot diversify. All companies will be exposed to the same market risk. So they will all fall. Some of them will fall faster. Some of them will fall slower. But nevertheless, that's a market risk that you cannot do much about it in terms of diversifying. Over time, the risk tends to lower. So here we look at small companies, and we find that within 1 year, the risk of seeing the return go from very high positive to very low negative is very high. And then as the year added up, from 1 year to 5 years, we find that the amount of change in the return is relatively lower. And if you go higher than to 20 years, the risk becomes much more smaller. So for a larger companies, again, the rate of change between high and low within 1 year is relatively lower. And as you go further down from 1 year to 5 years to 20 years, the volatility there is becoming much less, and all the way to money market securities, which is represented by treasury bills. Here is just a way of presenting the risk profile, saying that low risk normally is cash and cash equivalent. When you go for government bonds, they are a little more riskier, and they are looking for a little more return. Corporate bonds are relatively lower or higher risk than large companies, and if you are looking at international stocks, and small stocks tend to be giving you higher return with higher risk profile. There is one thing that we need normally to look at. large companies can either be growth stocks or can be value stocks. We just want to get a little bit familiar with the terms growth stock versus value stocks. When you are looking at growth stocks, normally the earning per company is very high. The company is going through high growth rates, and they are normally paying very low dividend because they need to use most of their earnings in order to grow further and to become more profitable. Obviously, there are risks associated with growth stocks. Risks like the growth may not happen because some companies are likely to experience growth in one period and they may even go out of business in the period that follows. And obviously, the price to book value, some of the indication for returns are normally changing unexpectedly. The value stocks, on the other hand, are having lower earning growth, but have very high value, and they give very high dividend to the shareholders. And they normally look at opportunities where companies go through difficult time and then they are turned around. And there is obviously risks associated with this set of companies that are characterized as stock. So here we're talking about mainly large companies. Some of them can be divided over, we call them blue chips. Some of them are divided between value and others are value stocks. Here is a graphical representation of the two categories, the value stocks versus growth stocks, and looking at large versus small. And this is the data for between 1969 to 2005. And we see that normally the stocks that has higher value would normally give you a better return over a longer period of time than those that are growth stocks. Here again is a distinction between stocks that are growth versus value stocks, and we see that growth stocks are normally, or value stock normally, are much better. They tend to perform better in terms of risk and return, whereas growth stocks are more or less horizontal. It shows that if investors are thinking seriously to pick up companies that are Sharia compliance, they are normally, from experience, better off to select companies that has value and that will give investors better return. This is a historical demonstration about what happened in the United States between this period of time. Obviously, stock markets, the way they behave and how they are linked to the economy are very much resembling between one country to the other, with different period of time that is separating countries' economic development. Investors are normally concerned about allocating their assets between stocks, for example, fixed income securities or sukuk, and cash. And the process of allocating the resources between this is called asset allocation as a term in investment. So investors have choices, and they have choices to invest locally, or they can go to the international market where the choices are much more and there are a lot of varieties. Here is just a sample of portfolios based on actual data looking between 1970 and 2005. We see that portfolios normally that has low risk are likely to be composed of stocks that makes up around 21%, and bonds that makes up around 37%, and cash that makes up around 42%. High return portfolio, normally the composition is different to show the change in the risk and return profile. For example, if you are totally investing in bonds, 100% exposed to bonds, your return is relatively lower. And as you are increasing your exposure to risk, you see that the return is going up all the way to 100% investment in stocks. So the change of the asset composition between stocks, bonds, and cash equivalent is normally going to determine what type of risk or what type of return you are likely to be exposed to. Investors have choices to invest directly, or they can invest through mutual funds. And some of the mutual funds are actively managed, and some of them are passively managed. When you are actively managing a fund or a portfolio, you are likely to turn over the portfolio much more, buying and selling constantly, and trying to beat the market to perform better than the market. And when you are passively investing, you are investing in a fund that is following the index, and you are happy to see the index. The major criteria there is to see that if you are investing actively, there will be a cost, and you are not necessarily will be doing better than the market. And when you are investing passively, normally the cost is low, and the likelihood of performing in line with the market is very high. And we say that in investment, market normally is very efficient, and it is very difficult for many investors, even if they are very professional, highly experienced, with lots of money in their hands to invest. It is very difficult to beat the market in general. There are exceptions normally, and those are outperformance that many investors seek their services in order to invest in the market. This is generally what I wanted to present to you as a background information about investment. Thank you very much for your attention.
डॉक्टर हातिम साहब ने ख़ास प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट, यानी अगर हम लोगों ने तय किया है कि अब इन्वेस्ट करना है तो क्या प्रिंसिपल होते हैं, क्या क्या एसेट्स अवेलेबल हैं, मैं एक मुख्तसर सा उसका वो कर दूं कि एक तो एसेट क्लास है, स्टॉक्स हैं, इक्विटी मार्केट जो कहते हैं, एक बॉन्ड्स है, वो तो वैसे ही हमारे लिए नहीं है, एक रियल एस्टेट है। स्टॉक्स में कौन सी कंपनी हो, एक लार्ज कैप कंपनीज होती हैं जो बड़ी हैं, यानी जिनकी बहुत बड़ी मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन है, एक छोटी कैप की कंपनीज होती हैं जिसमें अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ बहुत हैं कमाने की, लेकिन रिस्क है। तो अलग अलग किस्म के एसेट क्लास हैं, हमको अपनी पोजीशन देखते हुए हमारे पास कितना पैसा है, पैसा कितने टाइम के लिए, ये सारी चीज़ें देखते हुए हमको इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए। तो उसके लिए एक्सपर्ट्स होते हैं जो अवेलेबल हैं, उनसे राय मशवरा लेकर हम करें। मैं अब ऊतो बादर साहब जो म्यूनिक स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के प्रेसिडेंट भी हैं, बादर बैंक के चेयरमैन हैं, और डॉइचे बोर्स से जो है, यानी जो यूरोप का सबसे बड़ा एक्सचेंज है, फ्रैंकफर्ट स्टॉक एक्सचेंज जिसको कहते हैं, उसके कमेटी के मेंबर भी हैं और पार्सोली के भी चेयरमैन हैं। मैं उनसे दावत देता हूं कि वो आएँ प्लीज़। मिस्टर ऊतो बादर।
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ūto Bāda. I traveled a lot, and please apologize because English is not my mother tongue. I'm German. I'm not British, I'm German. I'm coming from Germany, and from a specific part of Germany that is Bavaria. And Bavaria looks like Kashmir. It is a mountainous country. It's a country with peaks up to 3,000 meters high. It's got a lot of lakes surrounding Munich, 5 lakes, beautiful lakes. Like I came here to Srinagar, and I saw Dal Lake, and the other one, what is the name? Nagin Lake. It reminded me of my country where I'm coming from. And the weather is as well the same, because it is a little bit cooler. It is more temperate, the same as you have here. And that's why I'm very pleased to come here and to be for the first time in Kashmir and in Srinagar. I want to talk to you about the criteria why I came to India, why I invested in India, and why I invested in Parsoli. You saw me in the film of Mahesh Bhatt, and obviously I am not a Muslim. So I wanted to ask you, are you interested in what I wanted to say about the criteria for investing in India? Yes. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Thank you, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. For a Muslim to invest in, and for another person, for other persons with other religions to invest in. And I don't want to talk about Sharia compliant investments because I'm not a Muslim. I cannot tell anything about that. There are other people here who will tell you and who are able to tell you. I am not. But I can tell you why I did come to India. First of all, I want to tell you that I founded my own company in 1983. We were the two of us, my wife and myself. I made the trades and my wife booked it. Now we have nearly 300 people. We have equity of around 160 million euros. I just do not know how much it is in rupees, so please forgive me. Our company is listed in the stock market. It has a market capitalization of around 250 million euros. And we are at all German exchanges members. We are members in nearly all the European stock exchanges. And we said to ourselves, where are the countries we are able to invest in? Where could we go to? What is left for us? And we decided to go to 2 different regions worldwide. The one region that is accumulating capital, accumulating wealth. And this is the Gulf region, the GCC countries. And that's why, as well, we have a stake in GIS, where Fatem Al-Shalfari is the chairman of the company, of 25%. And the other region in the world is the region where there is the highest growth in the world. And so we had a look to 4 countries that internationally are known for a longer-term period to have a high growth potential. And these 4 countries are abbreviated by the name BRIC. Ever heard? BRIC. B-R-I-C. And BRIC stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So we had a look at all those 4 countries. And I want to go through to these 4 countries together with you. At first, we had a look to Brazil. It is a huge country, huge prospects, huge commodities. But the population is around about only 200 million. What language are they speaking in Brazil? They're speaking Portuguese. Portuguese. Nobody in my company is able to speak Portuguese. And the Brazilians, they hardly can speak English. And I believe nearly nobody is able to speak German, as I do. So this is a negative factor, of course. Then how about the political stability in Brazil? They changed the government for a lot of times. And in between, they always had some disruptions, that the military was taken over, and it was a military dictatorship regime. So that's why we were a little bit shying away from that. The other hand is the stock market. The stock market in Brazil is very well developed. They have derivatives markets as well. Commodities markets, not so good. But the markets, securities, stock markets, they are good markets. From the legal standpoint, the jurisdiction is very good. Shouldn't be any problem at all if you go there. No problem if there is any problem. It should be solved solved if it must be solved via a judge. That's no problem at all. And then, of course, there is the flight time. If we travel to Rio de Janeiro or to Sao Paulo, it takes us 12 hours or 13 hours, and the time zone difference is 5 or 6 hours. But there is a big but with Brazil. The stock market in Brazil is in Sao Paulo. Have you ever heard about that city, Sao Paulo? Sao Paulo is famous for one thing: murder. It is the city worldwide with the highest crime rate all over. I am responsible for my employees. Should I send my employees to such a city? Can you tell me? Should I do so? Thank you. The next one is R, Russia. From Germany, very easy to access. 3 hours flight time, only 2 hours time zone difference, no problem at all. In Russia, they speak Russian, not German. They speak a little bit English. I do have some people in my company that are able to speak Russian. How about the political stability in Russia? Is Russia a democracy? Or was Russia a democracy? I believe not. It always was run by just one person. If it was Lenin or Stalin or now Mr. Putin, the legal system, we have some experience, and I can only tell you the legal system, we don't rely on the legal system in Russia. And then Russia has only 150 million in population, even less than Brazil. And the population is declining. Do you know that? The population in Russia is declining. I just want to give you 2 numbers. The life expectancy of a male child, a newborn baby, a male newborn baby, is nowadays 10 years less than 20 years ago. Can you imagine that? So this is no growth country for me. And then Russia has just one big disadvantage. It is in the list of countries with money laundering. Would you invest in a country that is famous for its money laundering system? So we shied away from that. China, population of 1.3 billion people, by far the highest population worldwide. That's a double plus. But there is the one-child policy. It is not growing anymore. The stock exchanges in China are just like in Russia. They're just starting. They just have an age of 5 years, of 10 years. They are not very well developed. Do they have derivatives market? Nothing whatsoever. Do they have commodity markets? Nothing at all. And then there is the language. Has anybody of you ever been in China? I've been there several times, and I just can tell you, when you go out of your hotel just 100 or 200 meters, and you are there stuck in one of those small alleys Perhaps sometimes you cannot find your way back to the hotel. And then you're asking somebody, what's the way back to my hotel? Nobody will understand you. Nobody. Nobody is able to speak English despite German. They only speak their Chinese dialects. Mandarin is the high class language in China, but nearly nobody is speaking Mandarin. Do I speak Mandarin? No, thank you, I don't. So there is a real problem with the language. That means you always need an interpreter in China. Every time, always, when you want to do business, you need an interpreter. Would you rely on an interpreter in Chinese who is interpreting what you are saying? Would you rely on him? Would you rely on him? I wouldn't. He could translate everything. You just can't tell. And then, of course, politically, it is still a one-party country, and this is the Communist Party. They have made some reforms into capitalism, of course, and that's where their high growth rates are coming from, liberalizing economy and coming more to market capitalization. But the legal system in China, it's not worth it. He who is the best briber, he'll get ruling. So I wouldn't rely on that. And on the other hand, in China, we have to travel for 14 hours to be in China. And the time zone difference is 7, 8, or 9 hours. You have to adapt to that, believe me, and it's sometimes not easy. And now have a look at India. It is the biggest democracy in the world. Nearly 1.2 billion people, and catching up with China. And I believe in 20 years' time, there are more Indians on earth than Chinese, because you don't have the one-child policy. So it's, for a longer term, a growth market. You have very well-educated people, very skilled laborers, very skilled persons. And in this country, around about 200 million are able to speak fluent English. You are second after the US Americans. And by the way, you have the English newspaper with the highest circulation worldwide. It is not the New York Times or the Washington Post, as somebody once said. No, it is the Times of India. The English newspaper with the highest circulation worldwide. So when you are coming to India, you can communicate nearly with everybody. And sometimes it happens in Bombay or in Ahmedabad, when you're talking to a taxi driver, he will not understand you. But on the other hand, he will know somebody who's able to speak English. And then it's okay. This is absolutely not the way in China. When you are in Beijing, when you are in Shanghai, even in Hong Kong, it was a British colony. Most of the people are not able to speak English. And when you are in Hong Kong and you are in a hotel, you get just a small card. And on the backside of that card is in Chinese characters written, if this person is handing this card to you, this means he is a guest of our hotel. Please show him the way to our hotel. Yes, this is China. This is even Hong Kong. I never had such a card with me in India. What else can I say to you? Do you know that the Bombay Stock Exchange is the oldest stock exchange in Asia? It is now nearly 130 years old, and it is not the only stock exchange. Very well-functioning stock exchanges, very well-defined derivatives markets, very good, excellent commodities market. That means the investment culture, it is there in India. It is there. You have it. Exploit it. And your legal system? I only can say, as far as I know, it's a little bit bureaucratic. But anyway, it is good. If not to say it is excellent. So one more point for India. As well, your growth is now nearly the same as the growth in China. I just read in yesterday's newspaper that your GDP growth is up now to 9.4%. That's excellent. I cannot remember one year in Germany in the last 50 years that had more than 7%. So it's wonderful. And you should participate in that kind of growth. And this is one of the reasons we came here to India, because we want to participate in this growth field. We want to stay here. And you have seen and heard what I said in this film by Mr. Mahesh Bhatt. That's why we are here. And I see with you a lot of younger persons. And I want to come a point that Hatem al-Shanfari said to you. The earlier you invest in the stock market, the better it is for you. And the better it is for you to become wealthy. And the best storage for wealth, for value, is the stock market. But you have to be beware. There are some fears. If you are trying to speculate, and if you think you are able, if you buy something today and sell it in 14 days later, then you are becoming a millionaire. Forget about that. Don't do that. Then you will lose your money. But if you invest, and I stress that, if you invest in the long run, and this is especially true for the younger people here with us, the time is with you. Invest a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. I'm now 63 years old, and I'm now becoming a more and more patient investor. I am not too greedy. Don't shy away from greed. That's not good. When I was young, and I have 49 years of experience because I made my first deal in the stock market at the age of 14. And I have made all of the mistakes a trader can make. You have to become an investor. And if you invest in growing markets, this is where you have to put your money in. Always put in more and more money into the stock market and keep it. Don't try to trade from one day to the other. That is good for the brokers, because then they create a lot of commission. But it is not good for you. And you have to do those things that are good for you, not for the broker. And that's why I like Parsoli, because they are don't giving the recommendation to you to trade every day, but they give you the advice of investing it. And investing doesn't mean day-to-day trading. Don't be a day trader. Most of the day traders are losing money. Do you want to lose money? So don't be a day trader. This is my advice to you. Don't be a day trader. The best way is to invest in the long run. And then the stock market is the most secure storage of value. Because where do you invest in when you're investing in the stock market? When are you investing in good quality companies? You are investing in the best you can get. And this means in the brain, in the ideas of the people, of the employees, of the workers, in the skills of the workers. That's where you are investing in. Exactly, that's where you are investing in. And that's what I want to tell you. Don't hesitate, because in the long run, for the long period, every long period starts with the first step. And for you, with the first trade. Thank you very much.